Thank you. So welcome to the November 1st, 2021 Conservation Commission meeting in Southwick, Massachusetts. It is 7 o'clock and we are meeting by Zoom. So just a couple of things we need to go over before the meeting kind of kicks off. I think the first order of business is we have some new members on the board. Kevin Solak, welcome.
Welcome.
Is that Hannah Rose? You're on mute, Hannah.
Thank you.
Yep. Good evening. So for Hannah, I've never met you. My name is Dave McWilliams. I'm the current vice chair for the Conservation Commission. Welcome to the commission. As most people that are on the call know, Chris Pratt and Marissa Obregon Cook are no longer on the commission. As such, with Chris not being on the commission anymore, we no longer have a chairperson. So before we get into anything, I think we need to go through and choose new officers for the commission. And just for those of you who don't know, our officers for the commission are simply a chairperson and a vice chair. So if we can go ahead and start with making nominations for a
Dave, excuse me, Dave. I think you need to do a roll call for everybody that's in attendance. And if you could do us a favor, don't go too far away from your computer because your voice fades away when you go further back.
Okay.
It's breaking up a lot. No.
Thank you.
Sorry about that. All right, so Dennis, do we want a roll call of just the members or everybody that's on the call?
Just the commissioners.
Okay, so as it stands, we have David McWilliams, we have Brian Drennan, Mehmet Mazanagul, Jerry Patria, Kevin Solak, Brian Pranka, and Hannah Rose. So that should be the 7 people that are on the board at this time. Thank you, Dennis. So move forward with the elections.
Well, I would like to nominate Dave McWilliams for conservation chairman.
I'll second that.
Are there any other nominees? If not, we can take a vote on that nomination. So all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed say no, nay. And so
Dave, it should even though it's unanimous, it still should be a roll call vote.
agreed. So Brian Drennan,
Aye.
Mehmet,
Aye.
Jerry,
Aye.
Kevin. You're on mute, Kevin.
Sorry, aye.
That's okay. Brian Pranka,
Aye.
Hannah.
Aye.
I'm going to abstain. I'm not going to vote for myself. It makes me feel kind of creepy.
I think we should.
So the next position would be our vice chair. And I'm going to go ahead and nominate Brian Drennan vice chair. Does anybody have anybody else they'd like to nominate?
I would nominate Jerry Patria. I respectfully decline. You're welcome.
There you go. There you go. Are there any other nominations? So all in favor, well, we'll do the roll call, but let's do a voice call first. All in favor of Brian Drennan, say yes.
Yes.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. All right, so Dave McWilliams, I am a yay. Brian Drennan.
Sure.
Like the enthusiasm there.
Thank you, Dave.
Aye.
Jerry,
Aye.
Kevin,
Aye.
Brian Pranka,
Aye.
Hannah.
Aye.
All right, there we go. So I just wanted to make sure that we had official officers in place for this meeting and any meeting going forward, just from a procedural standpoint. That we have people in place that are filling the spots that are open before we move forward. I do want to go ahead as typical and review the minutes from previous meetings. So just to make sure that there's no errors in grammar or spelling or content. And why don't we start off with, there's minutes for an October 4th meeting that didn't take place due to a lack of quorum. But present were Rose, I keep calling you Hannah. Rose and Kevin were both present. The remainder of the board were absent, and I am comfortable accepting the meeting minutes as they are. Brian Drennan, did you go through them?
I did. I'll second that.
Okay. All in favor of accepting the minutes for the meeting on October 4th, 2021?
Second.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So Dave McWilliams, aye. Brian Drennan, aye. Mamet, aye. Jerry, aye. Kevin, aye. Brian, aye. And Rose, aye. All right, let's move on to the minutes from September 20th. I don't believe they've been approved at this point, so we should go ahead and approve those before we archive them.
So I'll
So
make a motion. Sorry.
No, I was gonna say, I've gone through and read them. I haven't found any issues that need to be worked on.
I found one small omission.
Yeah.
On Sheep Pasture Road, I believe it should say 15.85 acres. The small
Oh,
thing.
the 15.85 not contain a stream.
Should there be a word acres after that?
Yeah. 15.85 acres will not. Acres and will. Okay,
I mean, it's assumed, but
well,
just trying to keep up with Brian, for being accurate.
good luck. All right, so who wants to make a motion on accepting the minutes?
I'll make a motion to
with
accept them. Okay, go ahead. I'll second
No.
you.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes with the changes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, so Dave McWilliams, aye. Brian Drennan, aye. Mamet, aye. Jerry, you're an aye.
I'm an aye.
Brian Pranka, aye.
Sure. Yes.
Kevin Solak,
Aye.
Rose?
Aye.
Okay, good, thanks. All right.
Dave, are you going to do the representative for the community preservation at this time
Yeah.
also? or-
Yeah, I want to get through onto that, so,
I hate to keep interrupting you, but I noticed Art from the Crepes Tea House is here.
yeah,
And I think there was an error on the first agenda that came out. Is that why you're here, Art? Because you saw a violation on the agenda?
Art,
You're
you're on
muted,
mute.
Art.
Oh, now you hear me?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yep. Yeah.
So that was an error. We've since amended and changed the agenda. So the most recent agenda that was posted to the website this afternoon, the violation has been removed with the posting. So there's no violation over there. We
Oh,
apologize.
okay.
All right.
All right. Thank you.
Apologize for the inconvenience.
Sorry about that, Art.
Oh, no problem. No, it's fine. So what I do next? So what is my next step?
Once you finish up, you put in for a certificate of compliance, file a certificate of compliance, or you have Steve Salvini do it for you if you want, and then you get your bond money back.
Mhm. So did we have to finish with gazebos on that time or not yet?
Once you get everything finished, the plantings, the gazebos, everything.
The whole project. Once you consider it complete, reach back out to us.
Okay, and the question, who I keep in touch, because I still have those barriers, which they start overgrowing because they've been so long. Do I remove them or leave them?
I would go ahead and remove them, Art. They look like they're stabilized out there. When I went and at the last site visit, it looked stabilized, and
Okay,
I would say to go ahead and remove them.
okay, very good. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so I'm all set for today, all right?
Thank you very much. Yes.
Yeah,
Again,
okay.
apologies.
Thank you, no problem. Thank you. Okay, bye-bye.
All right, so part of being on the Conservation Commission, part of the CPC, the Community Preservation Committee, there is a seat allocated to the Conservation Commission, as well as a number of other boards throughout the town. Our previous representative was Chris Pratt, and since he is no longer on this board, he is no longer on the Community Preservation Board. So we, as a committee, get to nominate somebody to represent our board at their meetings and have conversations from a conservation standpoint as far as the direction of where those monies would be best utilized. So they had a meeting last week. I jumped on, let them know what happened with our group, let them know that we had not chosen anybody to join their board, but that we were going to be making a decision this evening and that we would get back to them. I believe their next meeting is scheduled on the 17th. With whoever the new member is should be in attendance then. So I'm going to go ahead, just like we just did with the vice chair and the chairperson, and ask for any nominees to serve on the CPC committee.
You're looking for a nomination?
We're looking for a nomination.
I would nominate you. Dave McWilliams.
Do we have anybody else that would like to nominate somebody or would love to be nominated themselves? All right, so why don't we just go through and do a roll call, yay or nay on this? So again, I will abstain. Brian Drennan, how say
Yay.
you?
Yay.
Mamet,
Aye.
Jerry,
Aye.
Rose,
Yay.
Brian, Pranka,
Aye.
Kevin,
Aye.
Gene, I think that's 6-0-1. All right, so I think at some point, we need to, during our meetings, have conversations about where we want, our input. It's groupthink, we're a committee, so I want to make sure we're all on the same page going into any meetings that we're representing as a committee, whether it be me or anybody else. It's all of our agendas, not, my agenda specifically. So we have just a couple of minutes before our first hearing. So if we can open it up to anybody that has public comments can jump in right now before we jump into the first. Hi, Sabrina.
Hi. I just wanted to let you know that I put in an application to be the conservation coordinator on Friday, this past Friday. I don't know if anybody told you that yet. I know there's something going on, I think, with the Blandford coordinator. There might be some sort of collaboration, but I didn't know about that. And so I'm just letting you know that I put it in.
Okay, fantastic. Good. I'm glad you did that. Appreciate that. I will have a conversation with Carl
Perfect.
and see where that stands. I know they were expecting to have a conversation about that particular position at this evening's select board meeting as well.
Yep.
So we can, we'll regroup and I'll reach out to you after I speak to him.
Fantastic.
Perfect.
Right.
So I think we're just about a minute away from the first hearing. Anybody else from the public have any comments? Quiet group. A lot of people on tonight. All right, I have 7:15, so we're going to open up the first public hearing. And what I have, it's a notice of intent for 125 Sheep Pasture Road. So the Southwick Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing under the Massachusetts Wetland Protection Act, 131.40, in the Southwick Conservation Commission Regulation and Bylaws, Chapter 182 and Chapter 450, for a notice of intent located at 125 Sheep Pasture Road, Map 24, Parcel 36. The applicant proposes construction of a single-family home with a portion of the driveway located in the buffer zone to bordering vegetated wetlands. So I'm going to go on record as saying it shows continued on the agenda, but since we have new members to the board and don't have a solid quorum from the previous meetings, we're going to handle this as if it's a new application. And we want you to take us through the whole process as if this was the first meeting you folks had with us. Apologize for the inconvenience, but there's been some changes. And we want to make sure that everybody on our board is up to speed with what you're trying to do. At some point, we're going to make a motion or a vote on the project, and everybody has the right to understand the entire project. So who's here to have a conversation with us about this project?
Hello, everyone. This is Ryan Nelson from R. Levesque Associates, representing the applicant, Mr. Jay Gearkin, for this project. Mr. Gearkin would like to, can everyone see my screen first?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. He would like to create an estate lot on property owned by the Arnolds. The proposed lot line is this one right here. So we've also simultaneously have submitted a special permit to the planning board for an estate lot. But this conservation file.
Am I the only one that lost sound, guys?
Yeah, Ryan, we lost your audio. Ryan? Well, we have. Do we
Maybe
even
lost
see-
it totally.
Yeah, we've lost everything from Ryan.
Maybe he'll try to log in again.
All right. Well, we've got a couple of minutes, so. I think maybe we can, while we're waiting for Ryan to jump in, we could jump ahead and cover a couple of these new business items that are on the agenda, so there's some time on the back end. One of the items is the Mass Wildlife subscription for members at $6 per member. I think this is something we've always done, correct, Gene?
Yes.
Yes. So is that something we all want to remain members of the Mass Wildlife Association and get our mailings? I get them. I love reading them, learn about animals and birds that I don't really know.
Agreed.
Me too. Yep.
Sure.
Agreed.
All right. All right. So Gene, can we just continue on with that?
Sure.
There's somebody that doesn't want it. I'm sure we could take you off the list, but I would suggest that you take advantage of it. Item number 4, since we're talking about nominations and positions on other boards, I'm sure all of you have heard that Southwick is putting together a commission on putting together a new master plan. And it is a multi-board commission made up of members of the community that are just residents, business people, board members on other commissions. Prior to Chris no longer being in this group and our chairperson, he had nominated me for the position. And I am actually on the board. Our first meeting is Thursday night. So I'm not sure what's going to come out of that meeting. I'm not sure what the agenda is going to be all about. It may be just kind of laying the ground rules. But my expectation, again, is to come back to you folks and make sure that we're in a consensus on how we want to move forward with the master plan from a conservation standpoint. I believe our goal is an advisory board where we're going to make recommendations, and then ultimately it is going to be the planning board to approve and move forward with the select board on implementing any of these plans. So we'll try and figure out exactly what that's all about, but that's just something that I am on that board already. If any of you would like to kick me off the board, let me know. I can use another free night. Ryan,
Sorry about that. I have no idea what happened.
drove through a tunnel?
Uh, in my living room, yes.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, back to where we were. There's an existing wetland. Yeah, so a wet meadow at the base of this hill, and I think it captures sheet flow from the abutting golf course to the north, because the wetland seems to start and originate here. It doesn't receive or connect to any other streams or wetlands. There's a cross conveyance culvert that's set above grade, located right here, and that will be replaced in kind and in place as part of this project. And then from there, the driveway progresses uphill at the allowable percent grade for an estate lot driveway until we get up to the house area, the barn area up top here, which is all outside of any buffer zones or jurisdiction to wetlands. As part of this project, and to meet the town of Southwick stormwater regulations, we're proposing a vegetated bioretention area here to capture all the stormwater from the driveway areas. The driveway will be cross pitched so that sheet flow goes to this bioretention area, and then down gradient of that bioretention area, the driveway changes cross pitched to this stilling basin here with an overflow to the wetland. So in addition to that, we're also providing subsurface stormwater chambers for the proposed garage as well as the proposed house. So we're capturing all the stormwater from improved impervious surfaces and trying to minimize our disturbance within the buffer zone as much as we can. Obviously, you know, the driveway is utilizing an existing crossing, so we are within that 50-foot wetland buffer zone area, but no clearing of trees is required within the inner 50, just a conversion of an existing field to a driveway.
Did you say you're replacing the culvert?
Yes, that's correct.
Is you widening it or?
No, so right now it's an old concrete culvert. It's been there a long time. And, you know, we just like to update it. And if Mr. Gearkin's putting in a substantial driveway, we don't have to rip it up in the future if that becomes a problem. So we're just going to replace it with an HDPE pipe at the same elevation.
Excuse me, Ryan, did you get a chance to reply to Mark Stinson, the DEP comments on this project?
I did, yes. So his comment was if that culvert constitutes as bank if there's flow. So yes, that culvert is technically considered bank because it's connecting two wetland areas. However, there's no channelization up gradient or down gradient. So we are including the replacement of that culvert as 47 linear feet of bank disturbance as part of this project. And that has been added to the revised plan set.
Were there any other comments?
I can pull them up if you'd like.
Would you?
Yep. Okay, so here's the comment letter from DEP. The italicized text is the original comment from DEP. Blue text is RLA's response. So number one, the narrative states there's no bank on the property, but what about the culvert under the existing farm road that will now be driveway to the single family house? It connects wetlands on either side of the access road, and if there is flow, then that is considered a stream with the bank resource area found inside the culvert. Our response was, during our delineation, no channelization was observed within the BVW or adjacent to the culvert. The culvert itself could be considered bank if there is flow. However, the culvert was observed to function more to convey ephemeral overland sheet flow during heavy rainstorm events, and therefore it is not a stream crossing. The culvert will be replaced as part of this project. The culvert is approximately 47 linear feet and will be replaced within the same location at the same elevations. No adverse impacts to bank are anticipated. So the gist of that is, yes, we're disturbing 47 linear feet of bank, but we're not adversely impacting. We're just replacing what's there.
All right.
Number two, no wetland data sheets were included in the NOI filing that would assist this reviewer and commission in the review of the BVW line. A couple weeks ago, I believe I did forward along wetland delineation data forms for that wet meadow area. Number three, the commission should ensure the wetland and erosion control line are clearly marked in the field where the small basin will be constructed directly adjacent to the BVW, so as assist in reducing the possibility of any BVW alteration. Is it necessary to put the basin in this location? Our response was, due to Southwick's stormwater management bylaw and the topographic constraints of the site, a stilling/stormwater basin has to be constructed at the low point of the driveway, which coincides with this wetland location. The basin will prevent scouring of the BVW and will moderate stormwater peak input into the BVW. And then the fourth one was the usual typical one DEP includes about the issuing authority having the right to impose conditions for buffer zone alteration.
Right. Okay. So Dennis, you've been out to the spot. What do you think? Is this a revised plan from the last one that we saw? I wasn't at the 20th, the meeting on the 20th, so.
This plan is from September 21st.
Okay. So there has been revision since the last time we saw it then.
Yes. Yep. So we had comments from engineering, town engineering. We've addressed all those. I've spoken to John Goddard about those. I haven't heard anything back. We addressed everything. I haven't heard any further issues. They wanted to see a sediment forebay in the bioretention area. We've added that. They wanted to see a riprap overflow apron on the down gradient side of the basin. We've added that. They had questions about well or water service. We addressed that. And they asked for a riprap apron overflow from the stilling basin to the BVW. And we've added that.
When's the intent? When are they looking to start this?
Probably next growing season is my
Okay,
guess.
So nothing's going to happen immediately then.
No, not immediately. Maybe clearing of the lot over the winter time in terms of trees, but no stumping, but
Yeah. So access to the property is going to be continued to go over the old culvert until the spring?
yes.
All right. I think, Ryan, can we go out and can we schedule a visit with you guys?
Sure.
Walk the property since
Absolutely. Yep.
mostly new, or we're not mostly, a bunch of new folks and folks that haven't been here. So why don't we try and schedule something? Ryan, how is your schedule looking for either later this week or early next week so that we can get this back on the agenda for the 15th?
Give me 1 second. I'll check.
Doesn't daylight savings kick in?
Yes.
Later? Yeah.
Next weekend. Yeah.
So let's use the daylight while we have it, right?
I could do a site visit tomorrow afternoon or anytime on Wednesday before 5 o'clock.
I could do, fortunately for me, I could do either, but I don't speak for everybody.
I can do Wednesday.
You can do
Wednesday.
Norm or Jerry, you can do Wednesday?
Wednesday, yeah.
I could do Wednesday. Anybody else available Wednesday? What time are we looking at for you, Ryan?
I have another site visit that I expect to end around 10. So anytime after that would be preferable, but I can shift things around if I need to.
Well, Dennis, what time do you finish what you do in Westfield?
I have a site visit scheduled at 2:30 on North Pond on Wednesday. We could probably do it after that,
You want to go for like 3:30 then?
or 3 o'clock would be good.
3 o'clock is okay?
Yeah.
Jerry, can you
I-
do 3?
I can do 3. Yep.
I could get there, sorry, I work till at least 3, so 3:30 would be better for me, but, I don't want to complicate things either.
Well, you
So-
know what? I mean, you're new to the board. Let's get you out there on a site visit.
Okay.
You know, you could partake in one instead of being the
Mm.
subject of one, right? We can look at it from a different set of eyeballs.
There you go.
So why don't we land on 3:30 on Wednesday? Okay. And we'll just meet at the property.
Yes. Be a grassed area. You'll see the barns. It should be pretty
Yeah.
apparent.
Yeah, I think there's plenty of grassy parking there.
Hey, guys, I won't make it there because I have to work like normally to support everybody that's retired on the board.
Thank you very much. We appreciate.
Thank you for doing that.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. Can
I'm
you
with
guys?
Brian on that.
I know Ryan talked about bringing heavy equipment across over the pipe and everything else. Just look at the condition of the pipe, make sure it can withstand that equipment during your site visit, because we don't want that thing to collapse through the winter or whatever, and then equipment running all over it and blocking that
Excellent.
passage. Okay.
Excellent point. Okay. All right. So I guess pending a site visit, we will move to continue this until the meeting on the 15th.
Okay, sounds good with us.
Do we need a vote on that, or are we just moving it? The procedure? We need to vote.
Yeah,
on
you
it?
need a,
You need a vote? All right. I make a motion to continue this hearing until November 15th, after our site visit on the property.
I'll second.
All in favor, Dave McWilliams is aye. Brian Drennan.
Aye.
Matt.
Aye.
Jerry.
Aye.
Rose.
Aye.
Brian.
Aye.
Kevin.
Aye.
The ayes have it. We're moving on. All right. So we will move on to our next public hearing. And let me just make sure I'm reading the right one. Nope. All right. The Southwick Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing under the Massachusetts Wetland Protection Act, 131.40, and the Southwick Conservation Commission Regulations and Bylaws, Chapter 82 and Chapter 450, for an abbreviated notice of intent area delineation. The project is located at 110, 112, and 138 Hillside Road, map 37, parcels 26, 26-1, 20 Southwick, Mass. 01077. The applicant proposes only the delineation of a wetland resource area boundaries, and the meeting is being held. So, who do we have here for the project at hand?
Hi, everyone. Ryan Nelson from R. Levesque Associates again. Representing Mr. Nick Katsanakis for his property on Hillside Road. You can see my plan. It's a very large composition of a couple parcels. So we have these sheets split out across multiple sheets, or I should say the view split across multiple sheets. Hillside Road is located here. If you guys know where this is, I think there's like a kind of like a miniature train recreation area here.
Yeah.
So it's the property behind that. It all slopes away from Hillside Road down to a stream in the back. So as stated, we're looking for just the determination of wetland resource areas. We filed an ANRAD a few years ago. I forget the exact date, maybe 2016. We filed an RDA for the same delineation, which was approved. This summer, we went back out, we verified all the flags were correct, refreshed all the flagging, which was a lot. I think there's like 1,200 wetland flags. So that took some time, but it's all there and in the field. There's numerous, finger-like projection wetlands and hillside seeps, and depending on the topography, some areas are stony, so the wetlands are very irregular, as you can see. And I'm just going to keep flipping through the sheets here because it's hard to spatially know where you are without really being out there. There is a stream that goes through the rear portion of the property. It flows south. It's Tuttle Brook. And when we first submitted the RDA a few years ago, the stream was mapped as perennial. And Mr. Mark Stinson brought to our attention as part of the comments that the mapping was changed, and actually Tuttle Brook is intermittent to a point on the property and then turns perennial. So we've revised the stream status mapping and the associated riverfront area under these new plans. Some more wetland boundaries and intermittent streams. This is up by the train property here. So there's some drainage that comes down off the hillside.
Wetland.
Yep. Various intermittent streams and rivulets that go down the hillside that feed Tuttle Brook. And if you can see, based on USGS mapping at this point right here, and I verified with stream stats, Tuttle Brook becomes perennial. So from this point, we've drawn a 100-foot and a 200-foot riverfront area arc. So we're showing the correct riverfront area on the subject property. And then from that point downstream, the stream is perennial with riverfront area. These are intermittent streams that are tributary to Tuttle Brook. More wetlands over here. This is northerly on the property, Tuttle Brook again. And then this is the very southern extent of the property where Tuttle Brook goes off site. Once again, there's that train property right here. So there's a lot of wetland flags. I don't know how you guys want to approach it. It's kind of overwhelming to look on a plan view, even for me when I did it, but
How many acres are we talking about?
I think it's over 100.
Yeah. I think we took a walk
Ryan,
back there a couple years ago.
Can you pull up the DEP comments on this one also?
Sure.
No tea tonight, huh?
I'm in a meeting, man.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
Does that person have any comments, Matt? You need to log them in.
Same setup, DEP comments and italicized text, RLA responses in blue. Comment number 1, no wetland data sheets are included in the ANRAD to review. It is not clear what time of year the delineation was done, as the wetland report states. Due to the time of year, a complete spectrum of herbaceous ground cover was not available for observation. However, if the lines were verified in May of 2021, that data could have been acquired and still can be acquired. RLA response, please see attached wetland determination data forms from October 4th, 2021. So at the time of this initial delineation, it was a combination effort between myself and our former coworker, Kate Bednaz, across different seasons. But we've gone out, verified the lines are still correct, and I got new wetland transect data forms in May of this year. So those have been submitted. Number 2, the plans may be showing more riverfront area than are shown on the latest USGS mapping. It can be difficult at times to differentiate a dark blue line versus a light blue line, and that should be carefully reviewed. One may need to go to the USGS mapping website to assist in reviewing presumptive intermittent versus perennial stream status of Tuttle Brook and its tributaries. Then for those tributaries, stream stats should be run. Where Tuttle Brook becomes perennial, 200-foot arc should be drawn. RLA's response, RLA has reviewed the most recent USGS topographic maps and stream stats, and the point at which Tuttle Brook becomes perennial has changed since the time of filing. The revised ANRAD filing plans dated 10/4/2021 show the updated riverfront area boundaries based on the delineation point of which Tuttle Brook becomes perennial. Number 3, color infrared images suggest additional locations where BVW may be found. If top of bank is stated to be the same as mean and high water line, that should also be stated in the ANRAD. Our response in this instance on this property, top of bank of the perennial stream is the same as mean annual high water line. And then number 4 is just saying that the commission has the right to employ an outside consultant for review.
Yeah, this is obviously a really big project. And I think I could be wrong, so I don't really want to speculate, but what are the plans with the property moving forward? Do you have any idea, Ryan, what they're looking to do with it?
Potential subdivision.
Okay. So there's going to be multiple building lots. I think from our perspective, and this may not be something new that you're hearing, we would love to get a third party in there to take a look at it and just double check what you folks have done. Not that we don't believe that you guys do a good job, but this is a huge parcel. And quite honestly, we don't have the manpower on the board right now to have somebody go out and do this.
Right. No, that's to be expected. No surprise to me.
Right. So I guess my question is, how would we go about getting a third party involved? And maybe I'll defer to Dennis on this one.
Would you have any objection to Kate Bednez to do the review on it, Ryan?
No objection. Nope. She's familiar with it. Sure would help.
I think she'd be the best. The commission likes her, trusts her, and she is familiar with the project. And if you have no objections, I think that would probably be the best route if you agree, Dave.
Yeah, I think so. And I also think that once she gets it completed, it'd be good to go out and take a walk on the property as well, just to see all the flagging and where everything's located. So maybe a preemptive site visit before it comes back before us when she completes her work.
Will she also submit a comparative or a differences of what she found versus what's already there? Is that a normal process for her?
Yes.
Yes.
That's what
Yep.
she did
That's
on the
what she
Canterbury
does.
Road property.
Mhm.
Exactly.
Correct.
All right. So does anybody else from the board have any questions? Any others have any questions regarding this particular project? So I'm going to make a motion again that we continue this project at least until the 15th, until they can get a third-party consultant in there to just verify the delineation that's been done by Levesque. So we can do a roll call vote on that as well. So Mamet,
Aye.
Jerry,
Aye.
Brian, pick one.
Aye.
The other Brian? Brian, you may be on mute.
Sorry, aye.
Okay, let's go with Kevin.
Did we get a second on this one after you made your,
No, I don't believe we did.
can I second that
You just did.
now?
Yes.
Okay, good.
And Rose.
Aye.
Okay. So let's continue. All right. Moving on. The Southwick Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing under the Massachusetts Wetland Protection Act 131.40 and the Southwick Conservation Commission Regulations and Bylaws, Chapter 182, Chapter 450 for a notice of intent. The proposed project location is 40 Depot Street, map 89, parcel 30. The applicant proposes to construct a multi-unit residential community with associated site improvements, a portion of which is located within the buffer zone of the wetland resources area. Welcome. Ryan, is this you as well?
Yes, once again, Ryan Nelson from R. Levesque Associates. Share my screen. All right, as Dave stated before, this is a continued project, but some new members that probably haven't seen this, so I'll start from the top with a quick recap. This property is located on Depot Street between the Depot Square development and the bike trail. So we'll look at the existing conditions of the site first. So this is currently an agricultural property. There's an existing farmhouse here by the bike trails and barns up in the back. Property rises to a knoll right here, and then it slopes back down, and then there's another high point in the northwesterly portion of the parcel. The squiggly line you see is the existing edge of woods, so this is obviously a large field here. There's a BVW located along the westerly property line that drains to a culvert underneath Depot Street. Those wetland boundaries have previously been determined through an RDA that was approved, I think, earlier this year. Those are the only wetland resource areas on site, just this westerly boundary. There's no other wetlands or streams anywhere else on the property or in a jurisdictional vicinity to the property. Find the correct sheet here. So because it's a long, narrow property, we've split the plan view into 2 sheets. So this would be the southerly half of the development. These are the proposed units, building units. There's going to be private drive roadways that service the development. These dashed line areas are stormwater management areas. As part of the zoning regulations, there's a common recreational area located in the center here. If you can think of that as kind of like green open space. Stormwater basins out front. You see this gray squiggly line, that's the existing tree line or edge of woods. The proposed silt fence line is this darker line, so that would be the limit of work. Let me get to the grading plan.
Hey, Brian, really quick while you're
Sure.
moving that around. What is the date on this plan? Has there been any amendments or changes to the plan since it was last presented to the board?
This is October 4th. So this is the latest revisions that addressed planning and engineering comments, and we haven't heard any other comments back from them. So I'm assuming we've addressed everything in terms of engineering and planning. So this is the most recent plan set that's about a month old.
Okay.
And I think we presented this at the last planning board meeting, the same plan set.
And there were some comments that were made, particularly about the buildings 5 through, I can't see the high number, but
16.
that long stretch that goes right across the buffer zone.
Sure. Comments from conservation last time we.
I believe there were comments from conservation at the planning board meeting, and there were comments at conservation.
Sure. So we can get into that. Sure. So the 100-foot buffer zone is this dashed with dotted line here. That's the 100-foot offset to this wetland. The 50-foot buffer zone is this dashed line here. So as part of this project in this final, or I should say the most recent plans, the silt fence line is located outside the 50-foot buffer. So no work is being done within the 50-foot buffer zone. And a lot of the work, or the majority of the work within that outer 50, 100-foot buffer zone is located within the existing field areas, with the only section of trees being cleared being the back of these units, kind of this long oblong shape right here. Obviously, there'd be site grading, so it all drains towards the stormwater basins. Subsurface drainage along the roadways, same thing. It's another stormwater basin located here. The bike trail property is right here. To the next sheet, this would be farther north on the property. So there's the match line on the plan. More units here, there'd be a cut or an excavation into the hillside, but that would be a 4-to-1 slope, so that's very maintainable. Another stormwater basin located here, and another one located here. Because of the varying topography, we had multiple design points that stormwater had to go to make all this work. But the gist is that all the work in the back is outside of any buffer zones to wetland resource areas. So really the scope of work within jurisdiction is this area west of the proposed roadway.
Right, right. And I think the ask from our board was to kind of move that off the buffer. I think our ask was 10 feet, right, to move it. I guess I can't understand the orientation, maybe south, 10 feet, a little further away from the buffer. But again, since this is all from new and scratch for the board anyways, I think like most projects, we're going to want to come out and take a site visit.
Sure.
And I think what we'd want to see on the site visit is make sure that you guys have staked off the 50-foot buffer zone, right?
Yep.
So that they're clearly marked so that we can see where that stands. And really the limit of work or the backyard areas of these condos as they're proposed. Because I think that was the biggest concern, is there wasn't a lot of space between the condos themselves and the buffer zone. And, you know, the natural inclination of people to kind of spread as much as they can, and we don't want them spreading into the buffer zone, right? I mean, particularly into the 50-foot. I mean, the buildings are already within the 100-foot, but we don't want them going into the 50-foot with decks, patios, blow-up pools, what have you. So can you make sure that we have that staked out?
Yes, absolutely. And I think last time that was brought up, and we do have a diagram that will help you guys envision that. Just give me 1 second. I'll pull that up.
Can I ask a question, Dave? I know this came up before. We were talking about this before. We have in the past denied or really limited people in that 50-foot buffer zone of other projects. This project is a lot bigger. What is the impact of huge construction within less than 100, greater than 50 buffer zone? And what happens, again, later on down the road when some people start putting picnic tables, the blow-up pools, the putting greens and all that kind of stuff back there, because, you know, they are condos. So my question is the less than 100, greater than 50, with this scope of amount of work, and also down the road, if it's approved, how do we keep people out of there for the long run? I mean, chain link fence, you know, what's the jurisdiction, what's the rules? I kind of a little bit lost on it. So I'm just afraid of, again, that much construction less than 100.
Well, and you know what, Brian, I'm sorry. I know my mic fades when I fade back. I'm in agreement with you. I mean, if you look at the length of the condo and the distance between 50 and 100 feet, you know, you'd be talking thousands and thousands of square feet of earth that's being impacted by the placement of these condos. So that's why I think it's better if we can go out and optically get a really good look at this and see what their plans are and what the impact would be to the resource area. I have a hard time conceptualizing it through the plan. I will know much more if I see it. But you're right. I mean, this is a big project. You know,
The impact is huge already, because that's not a normal 3-family house or 3-bedroom house. That's huge. And if you look at the picture on the screen now, it's even worse, because it's showing 16 feet with a gradient slope into taking all that water, shooting it off and putting it into basements. It just seems like it's going to be a total nightmare.
Yeah.
And, you know, do we have jurisdiction just to say, kind of because of the amount of, again, work, concrete and surface that's being taken up on the whole property as a whole and not allow, call it impervious. Do we have the right to say, get it out of the 100? And is there any DEP comment on this yet?
Right. Well, I don't know about any DEP comments. I haven't seen anything. Ryan?
They had no comments.
Really?
Really? They got a lot of comments for single-family homes, but no comments for this?
That's how it goes. We submit the big ones and we don't get any comments.
That's fine. No one wants to do the work.
Okay, Ryan, how did you do that? And who did you threaten? Sorry, I'm just making a joke out of the whole thing. It's just
that was good.
no, I'm just bringing the comment up myself is, I look at the whole thing as the huge amount of impervious soil or impervious, call it foundations and slabs going into that area. It just seems odd.
No, agreed. And I think there's room for compromise. And I think that's really where we want to go is trying to come up with some happy median. And I think, the proposal that have been put forth a couple of times to move it a little bit further away from the buffer zone would probably smooth this thing along relatively easily. But I'd still like to go out and take a peek at it. I don't know what the rest of the board feels. I walked through the delineation when the delineation was done, but I have not walked through and seen any of the staking of the actual project itself. So from a board's perspective, do we feel it's certainly worth going out and taking a look at the staking?
Are the condos themselves, the structures themselves staked out, or is it just wetlands and the 50-foot?
Currently, just the wetland boundaries are marked, but obviously prior to the site visit, we can set stakes for whatever landmarks you'd like.
Ryan, this is Jerry. What's the shortest distance? It looks like unit number 10 to the wetland. Is that the shortest distance between the buildings and the wetland? And what is it? And what is that approximately?
Give me 1 second.
9 and 10, I guess buildings 9 and 10, is it? Or maybe, I can't see the overview anymore.
About 66 feet.
To where, well, the first dash line where the delineation will be.
So it'd
Sorry,
be
the
16 feet.
The wetland line is here.
Yeah, and the one,
This is the 50-foot buffer zone.
that's the one I'm asking about, yeah.
The distance between the back of the unit and
Right, in other words, how big is that guy's backyard gonna be?
16 feet.
16 feet, okay. Not a big backyard.
Oh,
Just checking.
yep. They are condos. Not everyone wants a yard, but
Yeah, so, I mean, I would think that that's being a rent, these are all rentals if they're condos, so most of the people aren't looking for anything to maintain, is what I would assume, right?
Yeah, I've never lived in a condo. I don't know. All I can tell you, seems like I'm expanding in my own property all the time with the stuff that we bring in as a family, sheds or what have you. So, yeah, it's a tough one for sure. It's absolutely a tough one for sure. But our goal is to make sure that we're protecting the wetlands. That's the
General
goal.
rule of thumb is not to assume anything. Just
Right.
assuming things gets everybody in trouble. So probably don't assume anything.
So Ryan, can you ask to get a time frame on when all of these stakes can be plotted so that we can schedule to come see you?
I can do that tomorrow with a GPS if need be. So open to whenever.
Well, I mean, we're already getting together at 3:30 on Wednesday, and it's right up the road from, sheep pasture. So it makes sense to go directly from one to another, as far as I'm concerned.
Yep.
I just want to make sure that you have time to stake out what we're asking you to stake out so that we're not wasting your time and our time.
Yes. No, we can do Wednesday.
Okay.
Great.
So probably put this one at like 4:30 over there in case people can't make the sheep pasture and they want to go directly over to Depot Street. We'll just put 4:30.
Sure.
We should have a little bit of daylight left by then, right?
Think so, yep.
Hey,
Okay.
Ryan, Brian Drennan, quick question. Is there any thought to monumentation on that 50-foot line?
We're not showing any right now, but yeah, we're certainly open to that. That's something you guys could condition, sure.
How about a fence? I mean, that would keep people from encroaching. Would they be amenable to that?
Sure, yep.
I mean,
Okay.
if there's no compromise here, we have to do something, so.
No, agreed. All right. So does anybody want to make a motion to continue this, or should I just keep on with the motioning?
Dave, you're doing such a great job. I motion you to make all the motions.
All right, let's make a motion to continue this until the meeting on the 15th. And in the meantime, we will make a site visit to the property 4:30 this coming Wednesday for all who would like to attend a walkabout.
I'll second.
Who seconded?
Brian Drennan.
Brian Drennan, okay. Ryan Franca,
Agreed.
Jerry,
Aye.
Rose,
Aye.
Kevin?
Aye.
Lamette,
Yes.
did I get everybody? All right, moving on. We have one more hearing. The Southwick Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing under the Southwick Conservation Commission Regulations and Bylaws 182 and Chapter 145 for a notice of intent. The proposed project located on 186 Berkshire Avenue, map 11, 113, I apologize, parcel 059. The applicant proposes the demolition and reconstruction of a retaining wall within the buffer area of Congamon Lake, bordering land subject to flooding and bank area. So who do we have from Berkshire Avenue? Who's with us today on this one? Anybody? Do you have anybody here representing 186 Berkshire Ave? Going once? Is there somebody here who is on mute?
Gene, did you contact the gentleman to let him know that there was a meeting tonight?
Not personally, no.
He's been having problems with filing. He believed he filed this notice of intent almost a year ago with the DEP, and it never came to conservation until just recently. And I really don't know if he just doesn't know how the process works, but I suppose you can't really continue it because is it open? Did you open the meeting? You opened it, so I guess you could just continue it.
It's open. Why don't we go ahead and continue it and give the gentleman or lady an opportunity to come back on the 15th and review their plan?
Do we have to make a point about the fact that they were on the agenda, but they didn't show up for whatever reason?
I think that that has been apparent. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
It's a good point.
All right.
I
So-
believe the guy's name is Tom. He did send an email.
All right. Well, we'll reach out to him and let him know that, again, we're going to meet with him on the 15th and that he should come prepared with what he needs to present to the board. So I'm going to make a motion to continue.
I'll
Anybody?
second that.
Lamette seconds?
Yep.
Okay, Jerry?
Aye.
Brian Drennan?
Aye.
Brian Pranka?
Aye.
Rose?
Aye.
Kevin?
Aye.
All right, so those are all of our public hearings for the evening. So we're going to kind of go into the stuff at the bottom, and I'm going to save probably the longest conversation for the end. So Pre-construction visit, 1 Noble Steed Crossing. Dennis, did you get out there?
I did. Ryan, are you still up with us, or did Ryan? I believe Levesque was the consultant for that project. I did the pre-construction site visit. The silt fences were in place. The owner does not want to put up the barriers that were agreed to on the order of conditions. He said he
Okay.
never talked to Levesque about it, and he doesn't want to do that. I told him that, you know, if he could tell his consultant, maybe he could plant trees instead. It's only a corner of the property.
Right.
So, and there's a mound out there anyway, so I think that it could be modified without much problem, but he'd need to do that sooner than later, because when he comes in for a certificate of compliance, if he doesn't have the boulders in place as stated in the order of conditions, he's not going to be able to get his bond money back or certificate of compliance.
You're comfortable with something less robust than boulders? I know we've done birdhouses and trees and.
Yeah, I think he'd be open for something like that.
Okay.
Should we flag the file though and make a note on it that said, hey, look at these are not, or the structures are not in place, just so it doesn't get through by mistake?
Well, at this point, the pre-construction site visit was just to ensure that the silt fences were in place. And, you know, it's only when you get the certificate of compliance that you have the boundaries.
Oh, so
in
he hasn't
place.
started construction, so he's still acting. Okay, all right, I'm sorry. I thought he was gonna be going for his bond back pretty soon, that's all.
So we should make sure that at the next meeting, that a representative comes in and asks the commission for a modification of the order of conditions.
Right. We have to have some sort of acceptable replacement to whatever was agreed to, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Should. Plantings, birdhouses, something.
Sure.
Right. I mean, bottom line is we want them to understand that, you know, this is where whatever you're looking to do back there has to stop. We can't allow you going in.
We've run across this situation before where the actual client has not communicated with their representative enough to know what the actual conditions that are going to be imposed on them are.
Right.
So unfortunately.
Right. Okay. Just want to reach out to Ryan on that? Or you want to go to the homeowner?
I think we need to reach out to Ryan on that.
Okay. We can have a conversation with him. We'll be spending some time with old Ryan on Wednesday anyways.
Yeah,
Anyway.
maybe tell them then.
Good idea.
All right. Under new business number 2, replacement of Conservation Commission coordinator, which I don't ever want to do, but I'm sure Dennis is getting tired of doing double duty. So here's where things kind of stand. The ad for the position has been posted on the town's website, and it's also been posted on the MAC site, so Mass Association of Conservation Commissioners. It's been posted on there as well. I had a conversation with Lindsay Martucci, who is kind of the coordinator for MAC. And she said right now there's 38 agent/coordinator postings in the state of Massachusetts. So essentially what's happening is there's a lot of people out there, a lot of towns out there looking for the same thing that we're looking for, somebody to come in and be a coordinator or an agent. The majority of these are part-time positions, similar to the one that we have posted as well. Right now, according to the last email I had from Carl, there had been 1 applicant. I think we found out tonight that now there's 2, Sabrina. So we have a second applicant. I don't know if there's more than that. But what Carl was looking at is possibly putting together what he considers, the term he uses is a regional position, where we would share an applicant or a conservation coordinator with the town of Blandford, who is also looking for somebody to fill that position. So our job listed here in Southwick is looking for 24 hours. So I would think the balance of the work would be done in Blandford. I continue to push for a full-time position. I think just even now, more so that I'm getting all the emails that Chris may have gotten in the past. There's a lot of stuff going on in this town. I would love to see it a full-time position. I don't know if we're going to win that argument, but I think the intent is they're going to try and move forward with a co-shared position. So that's still up in the air. There's really no new update. As soon as a candidate is chosen and interviewed by the select board, we will be told who that person is going to be. I've been offered to be part of the interview process, so I will keep you posted on that. But as of right now, we don't have a candidate signed on to that position. All right, is there any questions on that? You know, we've talked about it a bunch, but there's a lot of people on the call, and I don't know if there's any questions, concerns, comments.
I just want to say that it's difficult anytime the regional, these regional things come up. It's difficult because it is home based. You really have to know your area. It'd be difficult to know Blandford and Southwick at the same time. And like you say, it is basically a full-time job as it is for Southwick. So I
Well,
don't know
your
how that,
hours were full-time, that's for sure. Your pay may not have been, but your hours.
yeah, well, we're going to be underwater pretty soon because we got so many things coming up. With my limited amount of time, we're going to have a backlog of cases coming up shortly. So
Yeah. No, that's not.
I want to say Sabrina was the best intern that's ever worked for Southwick Conservation. We even got a certificate from UMass saying that. So I would endorse her 100%.
So you're saying she's certifiable? Gotcha.
Certifiable.
That's what I'm hearing. All right, so other than old business, still under new business, we had a site visit to North Pond last week to review a violation. So let me give you some details. I believe on the 20th, the meeting of the 20th, you folks reviewed, those of you that were here, a violation that had happened on the North Pond property, particularly over on the, is that Miller's Beach, or I forget the name of the beach, but the beach on North Pond.
Kings Beach.
Kings Beach, thank you. There were some photographic evidence of some pretty heavy equipment being utilized on the beach. It looked like there was some blading that was done across the beach to get rid of any debris or sediment that was on the beach. And there's also a couple of pretty steep ruts going up and down the hillside, which is causing the hillside to erode and sediment to come down the hill and get towards the beach. So a complaint was put in to DPW, Conservation got it, and Chris, as the chairperson at the time, did what was appropriate, sent a cease and desist letter to the person believed to be doing this work. And so the photographs came in on the 16th. The letter went out on the 20th. On the 24th, we got a certified letter receipt back from the home that this person supposedly lives in. And then since then, there has been no further work done that I can see, right? I can tell you I'm down there once, twice, sometimes 3 times a week, walking with my dog, my kids, my wife. Don't see a lot of activity. I actually never saw the activity that this person did with the heavy equipment, although I've seen tracks from motorcycles, ATVs, all sorts of mechanical equipment going through there.
Dave, if I could just expound on the actual document that was sent out. I was the one, I received a call from the Southwick Police asking if anybody had permission to be down on the beach with heavy equipment, and I told them I did not believe so, but as I always do, I contacted the chair of the commission, Chris Pratt, and told him what was going on. He went out there immediately, took a look at it, and we decided that action needed to be taken immediately. It was not an enforcement order written. It was a letter from the Conservation Commission saying, stop what you're doing. Do not do this again. If you do it, you will be fined and other action could be taken. This is under Southwick bylaw. To be able to actually fine somebody, you have to send them a certified letter. Like I say, this was not an enforcement order done under the DEP. This was a local action taken by the chair. And he did it appropriately as we're supposed to, with a certified letter saying that if you do this again, you're going to be fined for it and other action could be taken. So at that point, we kept an eye on it and saw no other problems out there, that he had not taken any more, done any more activity. We believe that this has been going on annually. From what we've heard, I've never witnessed it myself, but from what we've heard, he thinks he's doing a good deed by going down there and cleaning the beach. And there is no natural vegetation. It's a beach. It's been King's Beach. It's been sand since I've been here, way before I've been here, for decades. And their actual violations would be hard to prove. And they always are, but in this case, especially be hard to prove. So we thought, after discussing it, and I agreed with Chris, that the best action to take is to send this letter out in the form of a cease and desist, stopping him from doing any additional work.
Thank you.
And then Mr. Fox, the select board, called a meeting with the DEP, Fish and Wildlife, the police, Carl Steinhardt, and made accusations that the Conservation Commission was not following protocol and that we were doing it wrong. And I take great objection to that, because the commission was doing exactly what they were supposed to do. The chair did exactly what he was supposed to do. There was no breach of protocol. The DEP and Fish and Wildlife, when I was at the meeting, agreed with everything we said. I did leave the meeting abruptly after Mr. Fox shouted in my face and pointed his finger in my face. I did leave because I'm not going to take that kind of abuse from anybody at this point. And Dave did stay and will tell you what happened after I left.
Yeah, so I mean, really what came of it was there was a lot of finger pointing. It was actually really ugly. It was an embarrassment for the town of Southwick, to be honest with you. But I think what came out of it is we needed to have a plan moving forward, right? And I think this individual that's doing the work down there, although there's logically you could link one with the other, even talking to everybody in the room, including the Southwick Police Department, there wasn't really enough evidence to conclusively prove this person was doing the work. It was circumstantial at best, right? So my recommendation was, let's sit down, myself and someone from the police department, with this individual who we believe is doing the work, or was doing the work, because no work has been done since then. But sit down with this person, explain to them why they shouldn't be doing what they're doing, what the impact is of what they're doing, and actually see if we can get them over on our side. Because if they're truly thinking that they're doing good down there, then let them actually do good down there. There's stuff that needs to be done in that area as far as blocking things off, that we could use some heavy equipment. So we talked to DEP and Fish and Wildlife about there's no signs that say no motorized vehicles. And the guy from Fish and Wildlife's like, you don't have signs, then how do you hold people accountable? He goes, what we would do is we would put up signs and then start holding people accountable. So we agreed we're going to go in there and put up signs. We agreed that we're going to meet with the person that we believe is the culprit and have a conversation with them. But during our walk, if you're familiar with the property, as you walk past North Pond on your right and you're going up over the hill towards Babs Road, there's a vernal pool to your left, and there's a small pond to your right. And along the banks of that pond is a pathway that's been built. And you can see that there's tire tracks going on that pathway. Now, what's happening is because of that pathway and the vehicles running across that pathway, there is actual silt going down into that pond. You can see the damage there, right? That this trail is making. There was a fence that was located there as well. They lifted the pole out, the cement on the bottom and everything, and moved the fence out of the way so that they can get back and forth. But then once you get onto their property as well, there is dirt tracks. It looks like a motocross track almost that they built in their backyard, but it's within like 10 to 15 feet of that pond, which again is just causing further silt to go into that property. So we need to, what I'm proposing we do, and as a board, we need to make that decision, is I want to find out who the property owner is, not the person that we think is doing the work, because they're not one and the same. My understanding is the person just rents from there. So we want to reach out to the property owner, explain to them exactly what's going on, schedule to have them come before the board and explain what they're going to do to replicate the problems that they're having over there, and if need be, put together an enforcement order. But I don't know who that person is yet. We just need to find out who that person is so that we can start communicating with them. But ultimately, when it came down to it, the plan was to have another meeting with this woman, Jen, and I don't recall her last name, from Massachusetts Division of Fisheries and Wildlife. Her and I and whoever else wanted to join us, we're going to walk through the property. We'll take a look at exactly what kind of violations have been done. And then we'll figure out a plan to rehabilitate the area, bring it back to as natural a state as possible. We had plans put together previously by Crestview Construction to come in and do a bunch of work for us. I think those fees came to $31,000, and right now we don't have that kind of money to get that kind of work done. We have, I think, $15,000 that we can use on that property through through the CPC that we got. Talking with Russ, he thinks it's worthwhile to reapply to get more money to maybe complete the entire project, but we have to get to that point. I think right now we just need to start the project and do what we can to do it. And that's kind of where things left off. Now, you guys tell me if I'm going off the reservation and whether or not, I know there's some people on the phone that sat or on Zoom that were at the select board meeting tonight, and it was discussed at the meeting tonight as well. So I would, Dennis, Jean, is it okay to bring in somebody to give us an idea of what happened at the select board meeting, or is that inappropriate in this forum?
Yeah, it's on the agenda, so we should follow up with it, I would think.
Okay, so is there anybody that was on the select board meeting that would like to give us the crib notes of how it was discussed this evening? It would be good if we were all rowing in the same direction. So I'd like to know what they got out.
Yes, I would like to speak. It's Michelle Pratt, 152 Berkshire Ave.
Hi, Michelle.
Hi, thank you. So before we get to the North Pond piece, it was reported to the public when questioning the select board about why there was so much change and confusion about the terms of the different committees. I had pointed out in previous meetings that Conservation Commission is a 3-year term, black and white in Mass General Law. When the committee is first established, it's staggered 1, 2, and 3 years so that people don't turn over all at once. After that, it's 3 years. And people were really complaining about why we don't have an answer from the select board about why things changed. In 2019, they made 1-year terms out of Concom. So we got an answer from Selectman Dede tonight, and it was a quasi answer, actually. He did say something about 3 years ago, he sent a letter out to the boards and committees, although he was vague about which ones, and asked why people wanted to be on the board. So I would like an answer from the Conservation Commission, and I'm going to ask other boards and committees too, about who got that letter, because he was sort of saying he really got a boilerplate answer from people that just stated what their responsibilities were on that board. He didn't really get things that were heartfelt and, you know, really explained why they were committed to that board. So I found that very puzzling, as he was sort of insinuating that may have been a reason why people would be removed. But I think after the many years of services, you know, my husband, 19 years at that point, if it was 3 years ago, would not really be a reason to remove someone from a committee because they didn't give a heartfelt response to a question. Furthermore, my husband states that he did not get any such letter, either for Conservation Commission or for Community Preservation, of which he was a member since it began. So I would like to know from this board, many of you have been on here for many, many years, Mamet, as long as Chris has. Did you get a letter 3 years ago from the selectmen asking you why you wanted to stay on your committee?
I don't
So,
remember
yeah.
that, actually. It's interesting you bring that up. I was thinking, did I ever get a letter like that? I don't remember getting it at the moment. I don't.
Right. Dave, Brian, you've been on this as well for a very long period of time. You know, you don't have to answer me tonight if you're not comfortable, but I'll be asking for that.
I didn't even get a letter asking why I don't want to be on it.
Yeah, I'm sure those reasons are many, including right now.
Michelle, this is Frank. I didn't even get a letter saying hi.
Okay, Drennan, is Drennan still on here? Brian Drennan?
Yeah, I'm still on. No, I didn't get anything, Michelle.
Okay,
Never.
yeah, okay. So.
Michelle,
so
if there's any letters, it should be on record. Everything should be official. You
Yeah.
know, it shouldn't be secretive. It shouldn't be, shouldn't have to take a straw poll. It should be a letter out there that either the Secretary Jean would have it or I would have it.
Right.
We don't.
Of
But I
course,
think we
yes.
should, I think we should stick to the subject though of the
Let's
North
go back.
Pond.
Let's go around in North Pond.
Yes, no, I'm sorry, right. Okay, so I was really trying to double time and listen to both. It's really unfortunate that both of these meetings occurred at the same time. It was really tough to hear what was going on. I want to go on record as saying I'm the person who went and took those photographs. I was notified by someone that there was activity going on over there. I got in my boat, I drove over there. I diligently took all the photographs and I reported the incident to the police department, lake management. Obviously I told my husband. So I was the one who did all of that and made sure that the appropriate folks were notified so that property was preserved. So tonight, what I heard from Selectman Fox was that there was a discussion, there was a site visit. The DEP reported that it was incorrectly handled by the Conservation Commission. So I want you to know that he went on record saying that. I also want to state that I was furiously scribbling notes and, as I said, trying to listen to 2 different meetings at once. So everything that I say right now, I want to be double checked and verified before it's printed or reported anywhere else, to make sure that nothing that I say is inappropriate or false. So other things that were said were that the vegetation everywhere else comes all the way down to the water. It was obvious that this beach was created, that it was bulldozed to establish a beach. There are clear violations. The shoreline was taken out, and none of that is true. Anybody that's ever been over to North Pond knows that for years and years and years and years, boats pull up to the sandy area. It's all sand. Nothing ever was growing there, at least in my lifetime that I've been going over there. There are other areas where, if he's calling vegetation, seaweed that washes up and debris and things that wash up, I don't consider it vegetation. It's sticks and lake weeds and leaves and things like that. So Russ did mention that. He said that Dave was there. He was promising to go back. He explained to the committee that there would be additional walkthroughs. He said that I believe he said someone from DEP was going to be here at our meeting tonight to explain the problems that were handled incorrectly. He said that disturbing the vegetation and the erosion, it's called, are all clear violations of the Wetland Protection Act. He said that the vice chair is aware that there are obvious violations. He went on to explain that it's a crying shame that $5 million of taxpayer money was spent to preserve this property and a 15-year bond. The whole point was to preserve the property in its natural state and that it is not being used responsibly, and that the board was going to be working with Fish and Game and Department of Environmental Protection on monitoring. Then there was discussion about signing an MLU agreement, I believe was the acronym that was used. I don't know what that is, but with the Fish and Game. And he made a point to say that all of the fixes are going to require the town of Southwick to pay a lot of money to have them be restored. Chief Landis had commented that basically the situation over there in terms of the inappropriate use of the land is much better than it has been in the past. It used to be Keg Party Central, you know, and it's the use and the inappropriate use of the land is much improved since it's been owned by the town of Southwick, in his opinion. But he did feel that another tool in the tool belt would be helpful in terms of the MLU that was mentioned.
So MOU means Memorandum of Understanding, right? So that's,
okay, thank you. I had no idea what that was.
yeah, trying to understand what it pertains to, that's a different story. Okay.
Yep. Okay. So, you know, enforcement would certainly quiet things down over there. It's going to be a really big job for the Conservation Commission. This is again back under Fox. We need to get back into compliance, and we're going to need a lot of financial assistance. Doug Moglen chimed in to say that it was a huge transition and that we've all heard stories of what goes on over there. It's a beautiful piece of property, but we've spent a ton of your tax dollars preserving it. And some people have a different idea of how to enjoy the land, but now it's going to come back to the taxpayers. That they bulldozed the old Jones Beach, which I don't know where Jones Beach is. I don't think there's ever been a Jones Beach. It's King's Beach, but he said that we're going to hold the person responsible. He doesn't think that anything rose to a criminal level, but you know, needs better technology to make sure that the property is safe for people to enjoy. And let's see. I mean, that's kind of the big part of it. It really sounds like, again, you know, that he's saying that Fox is saying that there was inappropriate decisions made by the Conservation Commission. And it was really spun in a different way than what my understanding of the situation was. So I think that this commission should go back and listen to the audio recording of the select board meeting and correct any portrayal that was incorrect for the people of Southwick.
Well, thanks, Michelle. I mean, I was concerned that we were going to have a different interpretation. It sounds to me like in the end, there's some rhetoric difference in how things were looked at, but the bottom line is there's issues that need to be addressed there, and moving forward, they're going to need to be addressed. It's going to cost some money to address. And obviously, it's our responsibility as well as Fish and Wildlife and the town of Southwick to get engaged. I don't like the mudslinging. I don't think that helps move anything forward coming off the board. So I'm not really going to sweat that too much. But I appreciate it. You had mentioned that somebody from DEP or Fish and Wildlife was scheduled to be on the call. Is there anybody from either of those organizations that has joined us this evening? Okay, then we're just going to move forward. So I know we've been on for an hour and a half right now. LPP update. Did Norm, you still with us, Norm? I know you guys had.
I'm still with you, but due to the length of the meeting, I can give you my update at the next meeting.
Thank you.
How about that?
You're the best.
That'd be great.
Town hall access, Gene.
You can access town hall whenever you want.
Okay. I know we've in the past had conversations about whether to go with in-person, hybrid, or Zoom meetings. The polling I've got from the group is Zoom seems to work well. Is there a need to change that? Anybody looking to move away from the Zoom format? There's no mandate to do otherwise, is there? Kevin, do you have a comment?
Well, the only thing is, I mean, this is obviously the first meeting that I've been in on full meeting, with a full agenda.
Right.
But I did notice, like, when Ryan was trying to communicate, he lost connection and stuff. I'm just wondering if, with a lot of site plans and stuff to look at, if in the future that could be an issue just because of people losing connection. If possibly we would go back to like a hybrid or something like that, like the other committees. I mean, I don't want to create waves or anything, but it just seems like it could be a little more efficient. I think especially for maybe the Conservation Commission, since they're looking at plans and stuff, but that's my opinion, I guess.
Just my 2 cents after, being at quite a few of these meetings, the Zoom meetings are way more efficient. Trying to sit around a table and looking at plans with 3 or 4 different conversations going on at the same time is
Right.
not an efficient way to run a meeting. We've had the best meeting ever with Zoom. This was a small glitch that happened, Kevin, but normally Ryan's able to present these plans. Nobody can have side conversations. Everybody has to look at the same plan. It's right in front of them. So I know you haven't, this is your first real meeting, but just to explain to you, this is way better way to do a presentation, in my estimation.
But I mean, certainly a
I would
hybrid meeting
agree.
is
I would
something we
agree.
could
Yeah.
discuss. What does the rest of the committee feel?
I'm comfortable with a Zoom meeting.
I am too. I agree with a lot of what Dennis said. Just so you know, Kevin, this is not a common thing that happens. It doesn't happen that often. This is kind of actually the exception today that we lost somebody like we did. Most of the time, we don't lose anyone. I think in combination with the in-person site visits, you can't beat this. It actually has given more access to more public participation this way, where people can actually attend these meetings from home, rather than have to get into their cars and drive out to the site, into the town hall itself. So generally speaking, this has not been a bad thing for us. And I think, like Dennis said, it has been pretty productive, given the circumstances. So, yeah.
All right.
I agree
So,
with Matt. I think Mamet said it well, and also Dennis. So I agree with them.
so we'll continue with Zoom for now, but at some point we need to see each other's faces across the table. The last thing before, well, Gene, what do you need for signatures? Anything needing signing off other than the meeting, the minutes? Nothing, right?
No, I just need to know if your mailing address is different than your residential address for the Mass Wildlife subscriptions.
Mine is the same.
Same here.
You want us to just email you or text you? Thumbs up, thumbs down. My mail comes to my house.
No, as long as, if nobody tells me they have a different mailing address than their residential address, that's the, what I'll put down on the form.
Gene, I have a PO box,
Okay, Brian, what's your PO box?
779.
In the Grand Cayman Islands, isn't it?
My bank account, so
Okay, I'll send it there.
I'm tired of supporting the elderly.
Yeah.
There he goes again.
And, hey, just lastly, and this will be the last thing before we close, unless anybody has anything they want to bring up. So as I mentioned earlier, I sat in on the CPC meeting last week, and I noticed it was kind of an anomaly to their board that they had Dennis, who was not on the board, but considered an unpaid consultant because of his expertise in the area and town knowledge and what have you. We just lost a lot of intellectual capital when Marissa and Chris left the board. It's nothing we could do about that. We certainly welcome the 2 people that have joined the board, but I hate to see the intellectual capital walk out the door. Chris and I had a conversation. Chris is open to being a consultant and joining us on our meetings. He would be a non-voting consultant, but he would continue to sit in on the meetings and offer his guidance or input if we needed some sort of expertise that I promise you I don't have. So I'm just throwing it out there to the group. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's a great idea because Dave, I think some of the knowledge that he has of running and coaching you and bringing you up to speed as the new chair would go greatly for you and also this board as far as just his knowledge and the teaching that you could learn.
I agree.
I agree. Here, here. Yep.
Chris, you're not hired.
Yeah,
There will be no money exchanging hands, but we certainly
That's
look.
right.
So that's all I have. Does anybody have anything else they want to bring up to the board?
but just one thing, because of the constraint on time, I did go to the last couple LMC meetings. There was a couple of questions they had, one about weeds, another item about fines, but we can address that when we have more time. I just wanted to reserve a little time to answer the LMC's questions. And I see there's a couple members here, so
Okay,
next time.
that's entirely up to you. That's fine.
Okay.
Anybody want to make a motion to close?
I'll make a motion to close.
Second. Brian Drennan? Yay or nay? Yay. Jerry?
Yay.
Brian Pranka?
Yay. I'd like to
Rose?
say something afterwards.
Rose? Kevin?
Yay.
AMC, yay. Thank you all.